Hey everyone, another crazy week in the D&D world with the OGL stuff happening. So I'm going to dig in a little bit to Pathfinder in this video. I don't have John here, I don't have David here, so it's just me. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. I'll try and get to them. And if you want to take a vote on who you think is going to live here between the 5e fighter or the Pathfinder 2e fighter, leave that in the chat as well in the comments. So real quick, news for the week. We got the Onslaught game is out at $140. I have to say that it's got some nice minis built into that. There's a good picture of the minis for that Onslaught game. And then this one's interesting. So what's up with Keys from the Golden Vault? This book's supposed to release on February 21st, and it's not been advertised, doesn't have a cover, hasn't had any hype. That's really weird. So that's coming up. And then we got, of course, the OGL. I'm not going to go into detail on the OGL. I'll fill out the survey later. I encourage you to fill out the survey. Um, Here's some talking points by Tom Kartos, who did a really good job, I think. So I just wanted to share his. You can look for his talking points. It is at Kartos Tom is his Twitter handle. Tom Kartos. You can search for that. I'll put that in the description here for you. At Kartos Tom. There you go. You can find this. So my main thing is keep the OGL 1.0a. The only change would be to strengthen it. I think it's the best thing. It's really disappointing that the executives at Wizards don't see that it's the best thing. I don't know if maybe they have data we don't see, but I can't imagine getting rid of this is going to be good for their bottom line, which is disappointing that they're going through all this hassle to try and do that when it's just going to work out worse for them. So go fill out that survey. Consider what you can comment on and not comment on, and encourage them to do the right thing. Hopefully they will. Okay, let's look at now some Pathfinder stuff as promised. Pathfinder goblins I got here, and I got some first level fighters here to look at. So I'm going to zoom in. Here are the cards between a regular goblin and a goblin warrior. And the 5e goblin, we can see has 7 hit points, and the goblin warrior has 6 hit points. Armor class 15 versus armor class 16. So they look like a pretty even match. They have a scimitar and a short bow versus a dog slicer and a short bow. They have a bonus action on the 5e side to disengage or hide, and a reaction on the Pathfinder side to use a step to move when an ally moves adjacent to them. So I like to use these token macros when I make monsters so that when I'm running an adventure, I click the token, I click the action, and boom, that's it. Everything's there. Reference information there. It goes super fast that way. So I thought I'd do the same thing with Pathfinder and see how it looked. So here's a regular goblin in 5e. They have initiative, speed of 30, passive perception of 9, and dark vision to 60. Then the Pathfinder goblin, they use perception often for initiative or sometimes other skills. So I put the perception modifier +2 there, and that comes from right here. They have dark vision, and they have a speed of only 25. Pathfinder does a lot of creatures with a speed of 25 or even 20 for like dwarves. So, and also moving diagonally takes like every second diagonal takes 2 movement or 10 feet of movement. So movement's a little bit more constricted in Pathfinder, but they do have more actions to do movement with, so it might balance out. Okay, then in D&D, we have the goblins got armor class of 13 if they're using their bow. If they raise their shield or they equip their shield to be armor class 15. 7 hit points, they're a CR, 1/4 monster. And then in Pathfinder, the goblins got armor class of 16 with no shield. 6 hit points, CR -1. I think that's level, not CR in Pathfinder. So then, looking at defenses, in D&D, saving throws are all built in to the ability scores. You have a save for each ability. In Pathfinder, there's a Fortitude, a Reflex, and a Willpower save. So I created this button here for the Pathfinder Goblin. So it rolls a d20, notes what the modifiers are for their saves there. And then, like I said, for regular D&D, the saving throws are by ability score. And the saving throws are a lot lower for a goblin. Like if they were trying to do like the equivalent of a Fortitude save, that'd be a con check. They'd have +0 instead of +5. And if they're doing equivalent of a reflex save, they'd have +2 instead of +7. And a willpower equivalent would be wisdom. And for wisdom, they'd have -1 instead of +3. So everything scales up a little bit in Pathfinder, and it keeps scaling up as creatures gain or a higher level or characters gain levels. Okay, so you have the ability scores, and um, I did my Pathfinder token the same as I do my D&D token, where like uh, every skill is attached to the ability it goes with. So for a goblin, they have +6 for stealth, and it goes under the dexterity. You'd hit the dexterity button to do that. So I did the same thing for Pathfinder. Now in Pathfinder, the goblins have a number of skills: acrobatics, athletics, nature, and stealth. And I did the same thing. So athletics would be under strength, and under dex, you'd have acrobatics and stealth. And then nature is under wisdom, I believe. Yeah, wisdom for nature. I should add perception there. That way, if you want to make a regular perception check, you'd roll your wisdom instead of rolling the initiative button again. So I'll do that. Okay, then the next thing I have is the different actions that these guys can each take. Now, Pathfinder has this awesome player reference card. Let me share this with you guys. Yeah, there it is. So just really slick, and trying to explain actions to D&D players is a little bit harder. You'd explain you can do an action on your turn, and you can move on your turn, and your movement can be before and or after your action. And if you have a feature or a spell or something else that grants a bonus action, you can also do a bonus action on your turn. In Pathfinder, it's like you can do 3 actions on your turn. Much simpler. Oh, and also in D&D and Pathfinder, you can do a reaction that resets at the start of your turn. It can be used anytime during the round. But I really love this card. I mean, you hand this player reference card to a player playing Pathfinder, and there you go. In D&D, I don't really have I have a quick reference sheet, but let's see here. What would I say? Turn movement. So on your turn, you can move, plus do an action, plus do a bonus action. Oh, let me share the screen. Okay. On your turn, you can move, plus do an action, plus do a bonus action. You look over the chat over here. Your movement can be any mode or combination and split up. And your bonus action is if you have some feature that gives it to you. You can interact with one object for free. In Pathfinder, I think you pretty much use an action for that no matter what. Let's look at the player reference card again on that. So interact, I mean, like grab an object, open a door. Okay, so that takes up a full one of your 3 actions. Now back to the goblins. So let's look at first the goblin in Pathfinder. It has a reaction called Goblin Scuttle. I said step, that's wrong. Goblin Scuttle. It's got an regular action, which is a stride or a strike or a step or any of the things that are one action. And then its attacks. So it's Dog Slicer. We can see its Dog Slicer is attacking at +8. Why is it +8? I don't know for sure, but I think they're getting +3 for Dex because it's agile, so it can use Dex. And they must be an expert with it, which would give them 4 plus their level. Even though their level's -1, maybe their minimum is 1. That'd be 5 plus 3 would be 8. So that might explain that. So they attack at +8 for their first attack. Then their second attack would be, since it's a finesse weapon, no, finesse gives them the dex, and agile makes it. So the second attack is 4 lower, and the third attack and subsequent attacks are 8 lower. So this goblin could actually, if he was standing adjacent to a fighter, attack that fighter 3 times. And for example, you'd have 17 on the first, 10 on the second, and 7 on the third to hit. Then the damage it does is d6 slashing. And for critical hits in Pathfinder, a critical just doubles the damage. This weapon also has a backstabber feature, which if your opponent is flat-footed, I believe that's what it is, you do an extra 1 damage. So I have that built into the macro there for that goblin. All right, now let's compare that to a D&D goblin. So they have an action to attack, dash, etc. They have movement, which I don't have a button for, that they can move their full speed of 30 feet before and after their action, before and or after their action. They have a bonus action that's nimble, so they can disengage and hide, kind of similar to Goblin Scuttle, not exactly. And then their scimitar attack. Their scimitar attack is coming in at +4 instead of +8. But again, remember all the armor classes are higher too. They do d6 plus 2 damage. So in D&D, when you're using a weapon that does finesse effectively, you get to add your dex modifier to the damage you do. So it does a little bit more damage that way. But they can only make 1 attack, not 3 attacks like in Pathfinder they could make. All right, then we go to their short bow. The short bow, it's got a couple little weird things for it. It's deadly, so if you were to get a crit, for example, in this roll down here, you do double the 2 piercing for 4 piercing and add 4 more because it's deadly for a total of 8 damage on a crit, for example, in that hit. Let me just change this banner. All right. So then after that, let's see, it also has a range increment of 60 feet. I haven't looked this up yet. I imagine there's like a detriment of penalty to hit for every increment the range goes out. And in 5e, the range is 80 feet. And if it's past 80 up to 320, you have disadvantage on the attack. So there's the 2 goblins pretty evenly matched, really. The Pathfinder one has the advantage of making multiple attacks in a round if it doesn't move. The D&D one has the advantage of being able to disengage, and therefore none of its movement as a bonus, and therefore none of its movement provokes when it moves around. Now let's look at the fighters that will be taking these guys on. The 5th edition fighter, and I just took like the pre-generated one that came in the first, I think it was Lost Mine of Vandover. So this guy here is first level. His initiative is based on his dex. He's got a speed of 30 and a passive perception of 13. So I'll just roll his initiative there, 15.09. I use this dex as a tiebreaker. And Valeros, the Pathfinder character, has a perception of +5 and a speed of 25. So speed's 5 less, and he rolls his +5 for initiative. I use for tiebreaker 0.1 plus the perception there, although there are no tiebreakers. In Pathfinder, same with D&D, there's not tiebreakers, but in Pathfinder, if characters roll the same as enemies, the enemies go first. If characters roll the same as each other, the characters decide who goes first. So then, in D&D, the fighter's got an armor class of 17 and 12 hit points. In Pathfinder, the fighter's got an armor class of 18 and can raise it to 20 by raising their shield, and 24 hit points. So a lot more hit points. In D&D, a fighter can spend hit dice during a rest to recover some hit points. In Pathfinder, you recover your level times your con mod after a rest. And that's a long rest, I believe. So healing in Pathfinder, much slower. And then recovery. So death saving throws. Say one of these guys goes down. In D&D, it's a straight saving throw. 10 or higher, you take 1 step towards stabilize. In Pathfinder, it's a straight d20 roll. And the DC is 10 plus your dying value. And your dying value can be anywhere from 1 to 4. And when you get to dying value of 4, you die. So if you make this check, your dying value goes down 1. If you fail it, it goes up 1. And criticals, either way, go up or down 2. All right, so there's that. Again, Valeros has saving throws that are fortitude, reflex, and will. And the fighter in D&D is good at strength saving throws and con saving throws. So they do get an extra mod for those. And then for abilities, in Pathfinder, you see I have an 18 high, 14, 14, and all 10s. In D&D, we got a 16 high and a 9, and just a little bit more spread in the numbers there in D&D. Then we come to, again, abilities or actions. So in D&D, you have inspiration. I should put an inspiration marker on this guy. You can have only one of that at a time. You decide before a roll if you want to use it, and it grants you advantage on a roll. In Pathfinder, you have hero points that you can have up to 3 at a time, and they give you a reroll, or you can use them to recover from dying. So 2 options to use your hero points therefore in Pathfinder. In D&D, everyone has opportunity attacks, so I put it there even though it's not specific to that class. In Pathfinder, very few creatures or characters have attacks of opportunity, and a fighter's one of them. So I put that button there for attack of opportunity. And in D&D, the attack of opportunity triggers only when you leave a um, creature's reach. In Pathfinder, if they have the opportunity to if they can make attacks of opportunity, then they can do that if you do a number of things. If a creature in their reach makes a ranged attack, manipulates an object, uses a move action, leaves a square on its turn, etc. So a lot more restricted on opportunity attacks in D&D, but when you can make them for more things. So it's kind of like a trade-off. I think I like the D&D method better. Um, Pathfinder feels like a gotcha, right? You're a player and you think you can move freely around a creature, and oh, gotcha, he has attacks of opportunity, and you didn't know that. So if I'm DMing it, I probably would share that with the players, let them know which creatures do and which creatures don't, so they can act appropriately. Okay, then back to other actions. The fighter in D&D can do second wind and regain some hit points as a bonus, and then of course the regular attack, dash, etc. action. And in Pathfinder, Valeros has a shield block. So if they take an action to raise their shield on their turn, they get +2 to their armor class, and they also have a shield block reaction, where if they're going to take physical damage, they can block it, and the shield will reduce the damage, and then the shield will take what's left over. They can spend 2 actions to do a sudden charge, where they can stride twice and then do a melee strike. They can do a single action to raise their shield, which we talked about, a single action to stride, strike, etc. So you can do, let's see, drop prone, interact, leap, seek, stand, step, stride, strike. And again, they get 3 actions to use in their turn. Now attacks. We'll just do their primary weapon here. So the fighter in D&D with a great axe. I don't have the modifier separately. He's +5 on his attack roll. He's doing D12 +3 damage of slashing. In Pathfinder, Valeros, using his longsword, is +9 to attack with his first one, 4, then -1, doing D8 +4, slashing, but it's versatile, so it also does piercing. So you can kind of see all that per their character sheets. You can compare the 2 character sheets there. This character sheet that I'm showing for Valeros is from the beginner box, which is a amazing product, highly recommended. I'd grab that if you could. And so hi, Joseph. Thanks for joining us for the stream. And also hi, Underhill. Thanks for joining us for the stream. Let's get into the fight, shall we? Let's see how it goes. So I already have the situation set up over here. We got Valeros on the right. We have the 5e fighter on the left. We have 5e goblins on the left and Pathfinder goblins on the right. I'm going to clear the initiative here. I just use this trick for initiative in Roll20 where I use 101. That makes it always the top of the round, and I have it count up so I know what round we're in. So 5e fighter initiative, Valeros initiative. There we go. And then goblins and D&D. They get +2 on their initiative, all these guys. And then the goblins and Pathfinder. Did I roll that third one? I'll roll them again if I failed. Okay, there we go. Got the initiative. Oh no, the Pathfinder goblins rolled really good. That's not fair for Valeros descending. Okay, here we go. Pathfinder goblin incoming on Valeros. What can all this terrain is not difficult terrain? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that goblin comes forward there with a single stride, moving up to a speed of 25. And then he's going to attack Valeros with his dog slicer. This can be a +9. So he gets a 24. He does 1 damage to Valeros. And then he'll attack one more time with his dog slicer. This one is at 10, and that's a miss. Then our next goblin, closing in on Valeros. And see, you move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, trying to get it around to a flank, but he's not quite flanking yet. So he will now strike with his dog slicer twice. 19 to hit's a hit, and then a miss. So 2 slashing to Valeros. Okay, the 5e fighter's turn. And charge right into the fray with that center goblin. And when he gets there, he's going to attack with his great axe. 17 to hit the goblin for 5 points of slashing damage. There we go. Valeros' turn. He's going to try and kill this goblin that's going around towards his flank. So he will strike with his longsword. That's a 27 to hit for 11 slashing, killing the goblin. No problem. So 1 goblin down for Valeros. And then he's got a second attack. He'll attack this goblin that's in front of him here. This is only a 7 to hit. And then with his other action, he'll raise his shield up his armor class. Then we got another Pathfinder goblin going. This guy's going to try and get to the flank. 1, 2, 3, 4, but he can't make it. He could stride or step into the flank, which he'll do, leaving him 1 action left to attack with his dog slicer with it, not advantage, but Valeros now is flat-footed, so I believe he gets +2 to hit. Either way, he hit by a mile. He's going to do 5 and 6 points of damage because he has the backstabber feature. Okay, and then we got the goblins on the 5e fighter. The 5e fighter might be in big trouble here. Might go down with only 12 hit points. He still has less hit points than Valeros after Valeros was hit like 3 times. All right, so the goblins. It's going to go north, south, and the middle. So in the north, there's no flanking in 5e, so it doesn't really matter if they try to flank. He's going to move to there and attack with his scimitar. He misses. Then the one to the south will move to there and attack with his scimitar. He misses, and the one to the west will attack with his scimitar. He misses. Good luck for the fighter. So that's it for that round. Now we got a goblin attacking Valeros. He's going to attack with his scimitar or his dog slicer. Oh, that's a miss. Then attack again. Oh, this is a possible crit. So 24 would be a normal hit on Valeros, and the 20 turns it into a critical hit. So the damage is going to be 5 points of damage. I'm not sure if the backstab doubles or not. I don't think it does. We'll say it's 5 points of damage. Valeros, rather than taking that 5, is going to use reaction to raise his shield and block it. So he reduces the damage by 5, and that's blocked. And then the goblin makes 1 more dog slicer attack at the very end. 14 to hit, and that's a miss. Then the 5e fighter's turn to go. He is going to keep on the goblin he's attacking. He wants to make sure it goes down, so he's going to do a inspiration, giving him advantage on this attack with his great axe. 20 is a hit, 6 points damage, kills the goblin. Then Valeros' turn. So Valeros is going to go after the goblin to his east with his longsword. 17 is a hit, 8 kills the goblin. Then he'll go after the goblin to his west with his longsword. 14 plus 4 is 18 is a hit, 12 kills the goblin. No problem, Valeros wins. And let's see if the other fighter the 5e fighter can finish off his goblins, or if they finish him off. So 2 goblin attacks incoming on him. 15's a miss, 18's a hit for 8 points of slashing damage to him. Then next we'll do the 5e fighter. He'll attack the goblin to his north. He's already used his inspiration. I forgot to remove it. Let me take it off there. And he will attack with his great axe on the one to the north with his action. 20 is a hit for 6, not killing him. So he's in trouble now. With his bonus action, he's going to go ahead and use his second wind. That gives him 3 points back. And he's done. Now the goblin's turn. Valeros will stand and watch. He'll finish those goblins off if they finish off the 5e fighter. The goblin to the north attacking the 5e fighter with his scimitar. 18's a hit for 7, dropping the fighter down to 0 hit points. So the fighter goes to 0. He's dying. He is prone and unconscious. Drops his great axe on the ground. And after that goblin did that, he will go ahead and close on Valeros. Or no, he won't, because I think in Pathfinder it's not a good idea to close on someone because you can't really stop them from moving unless you have attacks of opportunity, and that grants them basically 3 full attacks on you, which is not good. In fact, it's almost good to back up a little bit to stay out of one of their strides, but he will move up to here and be done. Or actually, he'll move up to there and hide. He can hide as a bonus. Yeah. And so his stealth check to hide is... Now, he'd have to have full cover from the fighter, Valero, so I'll say he does. His stealth check to hide is a dex check, and that is well, only a 7, so he's not hidden very well. Then the other goblin to the south is going to close on Valeros and attack him. To go 15, 20, 25, 30 to move in a position where he'll be able to flank Valeros. And this isn't fair. I got a 5th edition goblin attack and a Pathfinder character, but we'll see how it goes. Holy cow, he gets a crit. So that's going to do 7 slashing to Valeros. Valeros, I believe, raised his shield at the end of his turn, so he will do a shield block. That's tricky. That's going to be hard to remember that as a in-game. Need some sort of symbol to add for shield raised. That will then therefore do 5 less. So 2 damage carries over to Valeros and to his shield. And I'm not tracking the shield hit points. I don't know exactly what they are. They might be like 20, I think. But I'm sure the goblins won't get through all of them, so won't bother tracking them. That goblin's done. 5e fighters, death saving throw time. So death save of 5, that's 1 failure. So he's dying. 1 failure so far. Then Valeros' turn. He's got this goblin in front of him, so he's going to go ahead and longsword this goblin. Oh yeah, hit by my 10 damage. So Valeros does good damage and is taking goblins out, no problem. Goblins down. Now Valeros could ready an attack for when that other goblin gets close to him. He could raise his shield, he could move. I'm just going to have him ready an attack. And I think that takes 2 actions, which he has 2 left after his first strike. He's going to ready a strike if a goblin gets adjacent. So the goblin, thinking he's hidden and not, moves on out, tries to sneak up to Valeros. Valeros sees him coming. Valeros takes his ready to action to attack the goblin now. Swinging with his longsword. I imagine ready to actions always use the first number. I believe so. And takes down the goblin. Okay, so Valeros, that was readied. Then we come back to the 5e fighter, another death save. 10 is a success, so he's 1-1 now. And then Valeros' turn. Valeros will go try to stabilize the 5e fighter. In 5th edition, that'd be a medicine check, which is a wisdom check. So we'll do wisdom for Valeros. DC 10, nope. Then the fighter, making another death save. Oop, 2 failures. He's 1 away from being out of the fight completely and dead. Valeros tries to staunch the wounds again and succeeds, and that's the fight. So that is a fight with Pathfinder and 5e characters. A lot of similarities, really. Feels like the Pathfinder fighter's got more and better ways to protect himself, more hit points to absorb attacks. That shield's pretty nice for shield blocks. Definitely a nice tactic to use that. So I'll be digging into Pathfinder more, obviously. And if you thought the Pathfinder fighter would win, you are right. Thanks everyone for joining me. Come back next week. Hopefully we'll have Dave and John here again. And I'm going to go do some more studying on Pathfinder. Talk to you guys later.